I want to acknowledge our university and community supporters, the University of Iowa's international programs and the University of Iowa's honors program. They contribute vital time, talent, and logistics to our organization. I also thank the Stanley UI Foundation Support Organization for their financial support, and I thank today's special financial sponsors, Midwest One and Mace and K. Braverman. Our programs are made possible by the financial support of these sponsors. I'm pleased to introduce Jennifer Blair. Jennifer, as I said, is the Assistant Director, Global Community Engagement at the University of Iowa's Tippie College of Business, where she oversees efforts to connect international and domestic students in meaningful ways. Jennifer is a 1998 history graduate of the University of Iowa and a 2000 graduate of Trinity College in Dublin, Ireland. Jennifer qualified as a lawyer, a solicitor in Ireland, and practiced private client law in one of Ireland's largest law firms. She returned to Iowa in 2009, first overseeing international student admissions and services at St. Ambrose University in Davenport, and most recently returning to her alma mater to continue her work with international students. Please join me in welcoming Jennifer Blair.
Thank you so much for that warm and welcoming welcome. I'm delighted to be here today. In my role in the College of Business, I encourage students to come to these lunches by giving free tickets from the College of Business. We have some people maybe here today that are taking advantage of that. And so I know the extraordinary talent that is here presenting every week for the Foreign Relations Council, and I'm humbled and really honored to be part of that list. And I wanted to thank Ed so much for offering to give me this space today to talk about the program, and to thank you all for coming to learn a little bit more about it. So I'm Jennifer Blair, and the Assistant Director for Global Community Engagement at Tippie College of Business. And what exactly does that mean, global community engagement? The role was created in 2012, and it has been something that I've had the pleasure of actually getting to shape into what I want it to be, which has been a real pleasure. And as I'll talk about, the College of Business has a significant international student population, and I have interpreted my role to be that of bridging cultural gaps between our domestic and international students, and raising the global perspective of all of us by building these bridges and breaking down some cultural barriers. So the Buddy program is sort of our flagship way of doing that, and I'll be talking to you for about a half an hour about the program, and then I have two wonderful buddies who are going to be coming up as well to share their experiences for the last 10 minutes, and I am delighted and thank you both for being here as well. And I also wanted to give a shout out to International Education Week. And I'm glad to see a lot of students that are here today, and folks from international programs and other departments around the university. International Education Week is a nationwide endeavor from the State Department, a week where we celebrate all things international: study abroad, international student enrollment, internationalizing the curriculum. And I asked Ed for this date because I really wanted to come here as part of International Education Week to highlight one of the many, many things that are being done on campuses across the country to support international education. And these are two of my favorite pictures from things I've been involved in. This is our buddy program at a recent farm visit this past fall. And this was a trip to China. I got to accompany a group of 10 students to China in May. And this is the group leaping for joy on the Great Wall. And so a question comes up sometimes as, why now? Why are we now talking about buddy programs? People are hearing more about them. They're gaining in recognition. And I think there are a number of factors that come into that. I think, as we all know, the demographics at the University of Iowa have changed dramatically in the last 10 years. I'll show you the information about the growth. We have the most recent data that's just out. But we have a significant number of international students here. And so there are just a lot more opportunities for individual connection. There's also indication that international students don't always feel as connected socially to campus. And this is an easy way to create a friendship and to hopefully raise the level of acceptance that the students feel on campus and a level of comfort. Buddy programs are relatively cheap, which is wonderful. It doesn't cost anything to be a friend. And so it's a nice way for different colleges and departments to create these opportunities. And they created the role that I'm in, which was really an integral part of it, because it does take time. And all these things came together in the Tippie College of Business about 2 years ago when we started the program. And I just want to note that the Tippie Buddy program is among great company at the university. There is also a great program called Friends Without Borders, and that is run out of the International Programs Office, pairing incoming international students. So students that are just arrived with existing domestic students. Do we have anybody here that's been part of Friends Without Borders? We have a couple, okay. And that's a wonderful program to help the transition for first semester international students. The other program, Global Buddies, is for exchange students, and those are students that are here just for a semester or two, and they're partnered with a domestic student, and that's also run out of international programs. Tippie program is the only one that's specific to a college. And so this will hardly be surprising, and I hope that you can see it. I'll try to read out the numbers because I realize they're small. In 2007, international student enrollment at the university, 2,153 students. Just this past Monday, we released data that showed the 2015 numbers, and we're up to 4,540. So a steady increase that shows no signs of slowing. And so this is just indication of that increased demand for a program like this. And also brand new data. Some of you might be familiar with the Open Doors report. It's data that comes out during International Education Week every year. And the University of Iowa has ranked 47th out of 1,485 institutions for the number of international students. So we have a significant population. I think it shows that we are a destination for international students, that people generally like being here. We get more and more students. Does anybody have any guess of which is the #1 university in the US for receiving international students? Who has the most? And no answers from international programs, because I know Downing knows. Yeah.
UC Berkeley?
No, although California ranks very, very high. It's Neil. No, Purdue ranks well too, but it's not. Yeah, in the back. Oh, USC is #2. Opposite coast.
Harvard?
No, not Harvard.
Illinois?
Illinois is always in the top, but no. No. I've got a t-shirt in it for somebody. Yes, who said NYU? Oh, I hope you're a large.
I have a nephew who graduated from it.
Hey, NYU has 13,174 international students. Amazing. It's followed by USC and followed by Columbia. So a bit of trivia for the day. Specific to the College of Business, our international student numbers have also grown extraordinarily. The bottom numbers, if you can see them, are 58 and 44, so just over 100 international students in 2007. When you now add up our pre-business and our admitted students, so pre-business are those who intend to get into the college and admitted are in, this year added up to 1,000. And so we did see a drop-off in the last year, which I don't know if we've fully analyzed, but it's still a significant number of students. Overall, the College of Business has about 4,000 students that identify as either admitted or pre-business. And so we're at just around 22, 23, 24% are international who either are in business or have an interest in it. And that is the highest in the college, of the colleges in the university. So that shows of the admitted students, we're at just under 20% international as compared to some of the other colleges across campus. So hopefully that just proves we have a lot of international students. Also, our demographics are unique in the college in that we do also receive a significant number of students from China that come into the College of Business. So about 80% of our international students are from China. The second most popular country of origin is South Korea. and then followed by Malaysia, India, and others. But it's heavily dominated by Asia and particularly by China. And then this is where we see some of the need for a program that pairs students to get to know each other. This research was conducted 2 years ago. It's the survey of the student experience in the research university. And this is something that's given to all undergraduate students about many, many aspects of student experience. And the assessment office separated the data out into responses from domestic and international students, and then also separated it out by college. So we've looked at it across a few different ways. For the most part, international students survey very similarly to domestic students and are having, on the whole, a very positive experience that is on par with their domestic counterparts. But there are some significant areas where they differ, and they have largely to do with the social experience. And so when students answered the question that students of my race or ethnicity are respected on campus, domestic students scored more than a point higher on a 6-point scale. And level of satisfaction with social experience, this is specific to Tippie. Again, it's a whole point difference. And again, their confidence in their interpersonal skills are also a point difference. And that, when looking at this data, that difference is quite significant. And so I think it points to, maybe not surprising, but a need that needs to be addressed, recognizing that for the most part, our international students are happy here, but they might be missing out on some of the aspects of what they perceive to be the real college experience. You know, you're here at a Big Ten university and maybe not grasping all of the facets of it or feeling like they're entirely welcome. And that's a big deal. And so when I started in my role in 2013, I came in just one person. I'd worked with international students, never with this many, and wondered how in the world is one person ever going to make a difference in the college and try to improve the climate. And what I decided to do was pull together a group of 14 student leaders that reflected the diversity in the college. And this group is called the Global Engagement Student Advisory Board. And this has been a tremendous resource in the college. GSAB is what we're called. Meets monthly, and we just talk about what's going on in the college. We talk about issues, initiatives, programs, how we can be creating a more welcoming climate. So Mackenzie is on GSAB as well, and so for example, we planned the International Education Week events in the college this week, and always thinking about how can we be raising awareness and providing greater support. It was GSAB in the fall of 2013 who first proposed a buddy program. They thought it would be the easiest, kind of the low-hanging fruit, a good way to get started in building greater community. Sorry, Max is there too. You're on it too. And so in the spring of 2013, that's what we did. And the goals of the program were really simple, but we wanted it to be really effective. And what we said is we want this to be something that people want to do. We don't want them to feel like they have to do it. We don't want them to feel like this is sort of a marginal program. We wanted it to be something that is desirable. And to do that, we wanted to give people a lot of flexibility in it, but also provide enough structure that they have plenty of excuses to get together, to meet, to do fun things. And then we wanted to assess it to continually make it better. And so what I'll do is I'll just run through a couple iterations of the program and how it's worked, sharing what worked and what didn't, and what lessons we've learned along the way. And so first semester was spring of 2014, and I panicked. I was so nervous that we weren't going to get much interest. And I was pessimistic, and I thought we need a ready-made group of students. And so I partnered with a class that was being taught in the college in the spring, which was mostly domestic students. And that faculty member agreed that membership in the buddy program would be a requirement for the class. And so that gave us a ready-made group of about 40 American students. And I said, phew, okay, we're going to be okay. And then went out and recruited international students through channels that I quickly learned about. And one is WeChat. And if you don't know about WeChat, you need to know about WeChat because WeChat is the future. WeChat is the social media platform most used by Chinese students and in China in general. And so we sent out requests over some WeChat groups and networked with some traditionally international student organizations and got about 112 people in the program the first time around. And I was delighted. I threw a personal party for myself and thought, we've done it, because my goal was 40. So I thought, oh, this is super. And as it turned out, there were good things and not so good things. And on the good side is that we did have ready-made participants. We had a group of American students that did have to be in it. We created a brand, we created a logo, we created a t-shirt, which you have, and we generated some positive momentum in the program. We basically created something. What I would say, though, is partnering with the class was a blessing and a curse in some ways, in that the faculty member sometimes had different priorities for her class. She wanted her class to get certain learning objectives out of it, and I wanted the buddies to have others, and those didn't always match up. It wasn't confrontational, but it just didn't always jive very well. We had minimal touch points during that first semester. We had a kickoff lunch, then we had a cultural activity midterm, and then we had a closing potluck. And it felt that it just lost some momentum by not giving students enough opportunity to come back together in group events. And it felt by the end of the semester that not everybody was invested in the program, that it lost some of its momentum. And so did a rethink over the summer and decided to go solo without the class and try to just do this as a way to meet the needs of the students, not thinking about a class at all. And it turned out to really turn the page on the program, and it generated a lot of momentum that's I think, continuing today. So we organized a lot more group events, advertised it a lot more to domestic students, and came up with some competitions that I'll talk about. What I found tremendously rewarding, and this has been possibly the greatest surprise of my role, is that there is a huge interest from our domestic students in doing this program. It has been such a delight to see application after application after application come in from American students who say, I want to meet somebody from another country. I care about making this place better. And these are people from across the board. We have leaders, we have people that are getting a 1.5. We have all sorts of people who care about this and see that the college is really international but not really connected, and really want to make a difference. So that has truly been one of the greatest joys of doing this job. And so we grew. We had 160 buddies in that fall. And we created a competition that I think has been a lot of fun. I think it's probably time to mix it up a little bit because we've done it 3 semesters now. But the buddies, and some of you might be familiar with Twitter, but the buddies are encouraged to take a selfie of themselves whenever they meet up, and then to tweet that to our Twitter and use the hashtag Tippie Buddies. And a hashtag in Twitter is just a way to categorize your tweets. And so you can search in Twitter for Tippie Buddies, and then all of the people that have hashtagged Tippie Buddies shows up. It took me a year to figure this out. So thankfully, I work with a lot of students who understand it. And the reward was a pair of Beats headphones each. And for those of you who don't know, Beats headphones are kind of the headphones of the moment. And so Dr. Dre apparently is behind them, and whoever that is, it must be cool. So and so it's generated a lot of fun because the prize is pretty good, and tweeting's pretty easy, and so it also has generated dozens and dozens and dozens of really fun pictures on social media, and I use these all the time without their permission. But I figure if it's on there, it's fair game. But it's been a really nice way to generate some continual momentum and some kind of reminders that the program is out there, that people are doing things. Because of course, with a buddy program, you could meet for coffee once a week, and I'd never know about that. And so it's nice to get touch points and see what people are doing. I think it's time to shake it up a little bit, but this has worked really well for the first 3 semesters of it. And some of the events we did, just tried to think of what would be easy to do together that would also be a little bit cultural, but totally low pressure and fun stuff to do. So we do a really casual kickoff meet and greet with some nice international food. We just did pumpkin carving a couple weeks ago. I'm going to come back to the farm visit because it really is, I think, our signature event. I really like it. We took a group shopping in Williamsburg last year. We did dumpling making with the Confucius Institute last spring. We always do a pizza night at the airliner. We rent the upstairs of that. And a closing potluck where everybody brings something from their own culture. It's just a smorgasbord of 40 different dishes. I've never seen a plate look quite as diverse as mine does at that potluck. A really special collaboration has been these Walker Farm visits. And Bob Walker is a new professor over in entrepreneurship. And he and his wife, in their spare time, run this tremendous hobby farm outside of town. They have about 5 acres where they have chickens and vegetables and also an indoor pool and a pool table and just this really beautiful home. And Bob and his wife have been so kind. Every semester for the past 3 semesters, they've opened up their home and cooked a meal with food from their own garden and their own chickens and have everybody over and just tremendous fellowship. It's a beautiful place just to hang out for the evening, and it's been a great way to build community, and also it's a nice way to advertise the program too, because it really is a fun event and a great opportunity. And I've had students come back afterwards, particularly international students, and say, this trip to see an American home has been one of the most meaningful things I've ever done in America. And I think it's just so special. As many people know, if you're involved with Friends of International Students, inviting someone into your home can change their whole perspective of the United States. And not that this home is typical, but we tell them we all live like this. But the nice thing as well is that the buddies, in addition to being in the program, they're also this wonderful cohort of people who care. You know, by being in the program, they've kind of self-identified as people who care about this issue. And so they're a great resource for me as well to do other sort of initiatives and awareness raising. So last year, what we did for International Education Week is have the buddies create two pictures. And in one of the pictures, they hold a sign that has something unique about them. And then in the other picture, they hold a sign that they have something in common. And so Troy over here, the guys on the left are saying, I like Jay-Z, that's his music. And the other one is saying, I like, is it Wong Feng? Okay. And, but they say, but we both love music. And so these were blown up and then posted around Tippie during International Education Week to show that we all come with uniquenesses, but we also have a lot of things in common. And the buddies are wonderful in that they are very supportive of doing things like this. Keep an eye on my time. And so student feedback was really positive at the end of spring. And what we wanted to know is, are we actually making a difference? Are we crossing cultural lines like we wanted to? And what students said, for the most part, on the whole, is that they have become more aware of another culture, they have dispelled stereotypes they have about another culture, they're more comfortable talking with somebody from this culture, and that they feel like they made a friend. And I think if we can do that 200, 400, 600 times over the next few years, that's a lot of little pebbles in a pond. And it's a lot of a ripple effect of creating this culture in the college where it's just expected that you view this as positive. And that's the ultimate goal, is that the college becomes a place where you come into Tippie and you know that this is how we treat cross-cultural interaction. It's a positive, and it's something that's going to make you a better person. And so I'll quickly wrap up with these last 2 semesters. We were very fortunate through a connection in the School of Journalism with Professor Judy Pollenbaum, who had a connection with CNN, that she brought CNN to campus, and many of you might have seen the coverage that CNN did about the international student experience at Iowa. They came to Tippie and filmed our buddy kickoff in February, and then also profiled 2 of our buddies, I think, Ron, you know, Kiki, for their story as well. And actually, Ron was a big part of that story. And so that generated a lot of positive buzz at the beginning of the year, and the program has continued to grow. We're up to 220 buddies now. The spring application has just opened up for the next iteration of the program. We were in the homecoming parade for the first time this past fall, which was a lot of fun. And we also, I was given the go-ahead to hire 2 student assistants who are global ambassadors who help with the programming. Because certainly, as the program grows, it takes an increasing amount of time, and always planning and thinking and doing the next event. And so it's been wonderful to have a couple students help with this as well. And so just to reflect a bit before I invite our students up, I think I have never approached this thinking that I'm doing something really special. This is not rocket science at all. This is about just introducing people to each other and creating enough structure that they enjoy coming back again and again. And there is no reason that this couldn't be replicated anywhere else. And I have found that I think that we did tap into a genuine need in the college. It's all been relatively easy to get it to work, and I think it's because people were wanting something, and I think that the program does meet a need that was there. Certainly have found that success requires attention. I often think of the buddy program like a garden, in that I always have to be kind of thinking about what's growing, what's dying, what needs to be weeded, what needs to be planted. And it just does require attention. And so I do think that's why having a staff member responsible for it really does help, because just for the consistency of running the program. But more than me as a single individual doing this, the success depends on the enthusiasm that the students bring to it. And that has truly been a rewarding and joyful part of my entire career. Looking back over every job I've done, I think one of the most delightful things has been seeing how much students actually care about the program and care about each other. And as a wonderful example of that, I'd like to invite Mackenzie and Mosley to come forward. They're going to share their thoughts for just the last 10 minutes. Mackenzie is a third-year student majoring in marketing, minoring in social work, and doing certificates in entrepreneurship and nonprofit management, amazingly. And Mosley is from China and is a second-year student. She's majoring in economics, minoring in psychology, and I'd like you to welcome them.
Hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad I can have this opportunity to share some experience after I participated in the Tippie College International Body Program. And my name is Mo Li, but you can just call me Mosley. And I'm from the northeast part from China, and I'm a sophomore. My major is economics. So when I received the email from Jennifer, I was really excited, but a little bit worried. I was worrying about my Chinglish might be a barrier to deliver my feelings. But thanks to my buddy, Mackenzie, she has been a really helpful person. She gives me a lot of encouragement. So we joined this program at 2014, spring semester. Our first meet was the kickoff events in the Holy Gloria. I was nervous, excited, and a little agitated. All I knew was just a name and the email account. And I did not even know, is this Mackenzie a woman or a man? But I need to know. I need to know more information about this person. So I searched her name on Facebook, on social media. However, there was no Mackenzie Phillips on social media. So I was more afraid because I don't know any person in my age that are not using Facebook. So I can only wait. So I just wait until the time that we actually meet face to face. And when it comes to the time I actually meet her, I was so happy. And then I used a super high pitch to talk to her. I remember I was like saying my name to her and like ask her, can we have a selfie? And yes, we did take a selfie, but he actually gave us a awkward moment, and he also gave us a chance to talk. So after taking a picture, we sat and talked for almost an hour with delicious Indian food in our hands. And Mackenzie and I are both students learning in Tippie College, which give us so much topics to discuss. I remember we had 3 coffee meetings last semester, and every time we meet, we talk about class that we're taking, and she recommended a great professor to me. and she helped me a lot. And she always helped me to gain a better academic achievement. And even this month, when I was doing my business plan paper, I was really struggling, and she sent me a lot of useful resources to finish my paper. She also cares so much about my personal life. She always remembered to ask me, "Hey, Mosley, are you homesick right now?" Especially during special events and festivals. I have to admit, she is the best listener I have ever met since I came to this college. And during the past few months, Mackenzie and I have participated in many Tippie College events that we went to a farm, we went golfing, and we also went to a potluck. I know little about golf. I had no experience involving golf before I went to the event with Mackenzie. So in some way, she is not only giving me advice about college study, she also introduced me a pathway towards sports. The biggest friendship transition was the airliner pizza buddy meeting. That was the first time that we ate pizza together. Also the first time we discussed a lot of cultural differences between my country, China, and United States. Since that time, we became so much closer than before. And although we had less meetup time this semester, but we also have more communication between two good friends instead of two students who both study in Tippie College. I am really grateful to have this wonderful program that have offered me a great chance to meet such an excellent woman and considering friend. And I also expect more and more students can enter this program and share some cultural knowledge and make friends. Thank you.
So my name is Mackenzie, and I was born and raised in a very small town that had no cultural diversity at all, zero. So upon coming to the University of Iowa, I was really intrigued by all the diversity on campus, which led me to the Tippie Buddies program. So sad to say, but before I met Mosley, I knew no international students at all, and that was my second year here at the university. And I remember the first time we met up at the kickoff event, I was like super nervous. I didn't know how to talk to her. I didn't know how to like greet her, which looking back now is really funny for me to think about. So at first we just had a few coffee dates where we talked about things that really didn't matter looking back now, a lot of small chat. But then we started talking about culture and things that really impacted us. And a few of the conversations that stick out to me is when we discussed the difference and significance of marriage between cultures, the feelings about the one-child policy of China, and what it's like to be a woman in America versus a woman in China. I can still pick out the night where we were eating pizza and our relationship pivoted from small talk and into something so much more than just students, but actually fostering a relationship where we can learn from each other and establish so much more between us. One afternoon, I asked Mosley if she wanted to go bowling, and she replied, "What is bowling?" So needless to say, we spent the afternoon at the bowling alley, but I'm not quite sure who was teaching who. Not the biggest athlete. But Mosley and I have a very similar sense of humor, and both have a desire to learn from each other. And she has been such a blessing to me. I can't even put into words like what an impact she's made on my life, and just so much that she has taught me and the perspective she has opened. And I need to go to China like tomorrow, I've decided. But not only has she taught me so much about the Chinese culture, but she has made me reflect a lot on my own culture and perspectives in the way I live. The community here for international, not only international students, but actually international individuals as well. Overall, I feel this program has made such positive changes in the college. When students see other students forming cross-cultural relationships, the stereotypes and the barriers begin to break down. I truly believe friendships go so much further than barriers or borders that keep us all apart. I've also gotten the privilege of working with Jennifer and seeing how much work she has put in behind the scenes in efforts to make everyone feel welcome, no matter what their culture is, their background, or ethnicity. And she has impacted so many individuals, from the international students who are beginning to feel belonged in a foreign country to the domestic students who are encouraged and fortunate enough to learn and broaden their horizons and begin to appreciate diversity while being so close to home. I can't give her enough credit for everything she does. So I thank you, Jennifer, for impacting my life and the Tippie community, and I thank you, Mosley, for being such a great friend. Thank you.
So the first question is, why isn't Mackenzie on social media? Shorty.
I am on social media. I have a hidden account, so it's like secret, and there you can't just search me on the search engine. So I am on social media.
I've got a couple of questions here that are kind of the same. Is there a parallel program for international students in other parts of the university, especially at the undergraduate level? And then beyond that, how are the buddy pairs set up?
Right. You should have mentioned that. My understanding is that the College of Liberal Arts does have plans to create a similar sort of program. I think they're working with a group, the International Student Advisory Board through student government, to help them create a similar program. So that's great. Certainly by being the biggest college, that could have a tremendous impact. How they are paired up, buddies submit a short application that includes their year, their major, hobbies and interests, and then how your friends would describe you. So a few things about personality. And from that, we start with major, and we try to pair up students within major first, and then within that, go on to hobbies and interests and personality type. And we've had pretty good luck. I have to say there's some art and some science to it, and maybe just some strange luck. We had two buddies who both have blue hair, and I'm like, wow, that was amazing. So it's simple, but seems to be relatively effective.
So another question is, how are you dealing with languages? Are U.S. students learning Chinese or learning other languages? Is that part of the program?
It's part of the program only to the extent that they want it to be. The international students at the University of Iowa speak a very high level of English, and I think English is expected, and I think students would prefer to speak English. That a lot of students want to be in the program because they enjoy practicing social English. And so if they are learning another language, it's probably because the American or the domestic student has asked for a few words or a few lessons in the other language. But otherwise, I think the relationships occur in English.
This questioner asks, you've done well with willing people. How about teaching some cultural understanding to those who are unwilling? Is that
They don't pay me enough for that. It's the eternal question in the kind of work I do. And it's always easy to get the people to come to things like yourselves who care about these issues. And the hope is that with a program like the Buddy Program, it creates this idea, this culture, again, this expectation that this is how you behave when you're in the College of Business, and that carries along some people. There will be some that are unwilling to be carried along by that. And I know we have seen some negative things said in social media that, I mean, I think represent a small minority of the people that are here on campus. But I think what we have to do is continue to widen the net, grow the programs, and continue to raise awareness through markers in the building, things that people can see while they're walking through the hallways that show that this is the kind of place we are. And outside of that, you can start requiring things, but as I found in that first semester, requiring often just defeats the point of it. So it's a great challenge, and if anybody has ideas, I am up here afterwards.
Here's an interesting idea. The questioner writes, this sounds like such fun. Can you ever use community members to be part of the Buddies program?
I think probably the more appropriate place for that is Friends of International Students, the program that's run, it's not an official university club, but is run in conjunction with international programs where community members partner with international students. And that's a tremendous program. I think Ron could probably speak to that, and maybe many others here. The Buddy program itself is restricted to students. I've actually thought that this could kind of be a neat sort of model for something in the community on the whole. I mean, outside of the university altogether, but it could be a great way for any people of difference to come together and talk about it. I think we are in an increasingly divided society, and something like this could really be a simple way to make a difference.
Okay, I've got one more here that you've kind of addressed a little bit. It asks, do many Tippie students formally study Chinese? But just in general, what are the language requirements for business students? Do you have a sense of that at this point?
We have a growing number of students studying Chinese. It's still a very small number. To graduate from the College of Business, you have to have language proficiency up to just 2 semesters of a language different from what you had in high school. So it's not required by any means. We're trying to encourage students to study more Asian languages and travel to Asia and study abroad more in Asia, and there is a growing interest in that. And I think, as Mackenzie alluded to, once you know somebody from a place, you really want to see it. You want to see the home. You want to see what their parents are like, what dinner looks like. And so I think there's a growing interest in it, which is great.
Thank you. We'll conclude our program now. On behalf of the Iowa City Foreign Relations, I want to give a big thanks to Jennifer Blair and Mackenzie and Mosley. I also want to thank our sponsors, the University of Iowa's International Programs, the University of Iowa's Honors Program, the Stanley UI Foundation Support Organization for their generous support. We thank our today's financial sponsors, Midwest One and Mason K. Breverman. And Jennifer and Mackenzie and Mosley, as a small token of our appreciation, we present each one of you with the coveted Iowa City Foreign Relations Council mug. All right. There you go. We are adjourned. Thank you.